Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 5th edition of Talk Death. Who owns your body? Funeral Law and Rights, the American edition this time. And today we are with Tanya Marsh and Lee Webster. Hello, Tanya. Hello, Lee. At Megamia on Twitter and at Cecilia Rodart on Instagram both want to know, can you legally have your body in a field and eaten by vultures or other animals, just like in a certain Buddhist
After
tradition?
you die.
Yes, after you die.
That's good. Thank you for clarifying that. No. Please see earlier comments about all those anti-desecration criminal statutes. This is the problem, right? We have all these anti-desecration statutes on the books. Whether they're enforced or not, right, is a totally different thing. But I think the law enforcement community would not be super happy about somebody doing that because the state has a really strong interest in wanting to figure out whether or not a crime has been committed, right? And so the state has the right to conduct an autopsy even over the religious and personal objections of the family members and the deceased themselves if, it depends on the state, but if they suspect foul play, etc. So allowing yourself to be, eaten by vultures in a field, is that what it was?
Yeah.
Yes.
I
think they'd not be cool with that.
I guess if people really wanted to, because this is actually something I hear all the time from people, I'll just leave my body in the forest. Just leave my body and let the animals take care of it. But I guess if people really wanted that, they could always donate their bodies to a body farm.
They could. There's not that many body farms, but they surely could. There's one at Western Carolina University. There's one in Tennessee. Not sure how many.
Explain what that is for people who don't know what a body farm is?
Yeah, so a body farm is, well, let's see, a definition of a body farm. So they're all these sort of academic and research enterprises, and it's a piece of land where they're doing forensic research on what happens to human remains under certain conditions. So it's actually been really great for law enforcement because they've been able to figure out, how long has a body been outside, if it's in this state of decomposition, et cetera. And the body farm at Western Carolina is actually doing research for Urban Death Project and doing some tests on composting materials in support of their work.
Interesting. If you don't know about Urban Death Project, we did our last Talk Death on them, so just check out our channel, by the way, little plug there.
I'd mention one other thing really quickly, and that is the Crestone Project in Colorado, which is the only legal open-air cremation group, and my understanding is that they're actually starting to organize a little bit better so that you don't have to bring the body to Colorado, but that there are people who will come to you, or are planning to. I don't think this is happening yet, but they're planning to be able to find other places in the country where they can offer this open-air cremation service. And to go back to the, put the bodies out in the field, this worked really well, but we live in a different world now, and even in Tibetan tradition, the vultures have gotten terribly ill. We have a problem with the vultures for the Tibetan sky burial now because the bodies that they've been, picking up are full of chemicals. So even that system, that really ancient system is on its way out. So the idea of putting a body out in my backyard in, suburbia somewhere, even here in the backwoods of New Hampshire, is not going to work very well when a joint comes home in a dog's mouth.
Yeah,
so
that doesn't
let's
sound
have
great.
respect for others. Yeah.
Well, we had to ask it.
Well, before you ask, the same applies to Viking burials. Just, the flaming arrow situation. Yeah,
that was a question that we got.
It's always a question.
That's a real Hollywood version of it too. It's the reality is very different.
Well, perfect segue because this question involves an axe. Lee.
Lizzie Borden.
So I am a Dracula on Twitter, has a question about green burials as well, and he wants to know, is it typical to prohibit burial with jewelry and or other non-biodegradable things like an art object or an axe?
Yeah, that is actually a really good question because depending on the Green Burial Cemetery and what they've come up with for their rules and how strict they're going to be about it, you can either be, bring whatever you want to, again, on your underground Viking burial. Maybe don't bring any virgins, but other than that, you'll be okay. Um, in other ones, I've heard where they insist on ripping the zippers out of men's flies because they want absolutely nothing, and the caskets have to be made with a particular biodegradable glue, kind of thing. So again, it's going to be all over the place. I see it all as experimentation, trying to figure out, where we're going to settle out. What's going to be the most practical, pragmatic, reasonable way of doing this? Can we make sure that there are no chemicals going into the ground with a green burial? No, our bodies are full of heavy metals that we've been dealing with. Soil, the perfect filter for that, so I'm not worried about it. But are we really going to take somebody apart during their home funeral and take their teeth out? Are we going to take their knee?
Right.
We need to be reasonable. We need to be reasonable. So my guess is you could find a green burial spot that says it's okay for you to have your handmade axe, and you go for it. I'm not worried. You're only buried once.